you know I can't start my things without a nice cup of tea. In 1983, a year into my professional career with my band Sweet Distortion, we were interviewed by a journalist for a magazine called Black Beat International. Now, Black Beat International was a magazine about black music, whether it be reggae, soul, jazz, wherever. And it was a global magazine. It had a global perspective on black music from the UK. The magazine was edited by the late Flip Fraser, who was the editor of The Voice newspaper back in the day, and who subsequently became the producer and director of the hugely acclaimed Black Heroes in the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm pleased to say that I've got a copy of not only the article, but the magazine that the article was in. And here on the front cover, you can see a picture of the late Peter Tosh brandishing a custom-made guitar in the shape of an M16 rifle. He managed that. Let's look inside. I can actually make a vlog just about this magazine alone. There was other magazines out there, other publications like Black Echoes. Black Beat International was kind of one to not so much rival it, but for it to be a companion piece alongside Black Echoes, because Black Echoes was like the Bible for black music and black music charts and new releases and stuff like that. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so here is the feature. That's us right there in 1983. And there was various questions basically asked of us. Our birthplace, our heroes, our influences. One question that was basically asked of all of us was our ambition. I had two ambitions that I really wanted to fulfill, but they only could put one to print. So the one that made it to print was for us to perform at Reggae Sunsplash, Jamaica's Reggae Sunsplash, in 1984. Now, the other ambition that didn't make it to press was for us to work with Sly and Robbie. Now, those benchmarks for us were previously surpassed by Musical Youth, who we were kind of on the road with per se, just after they broke through with their international hit Pass the Dutchie. It wasn't just because of Musical Youth's attainment of those ambitions that we wanted to do the same. For me personally, it was just, I can't explain it. It's like with Sly and Robbie, and I have to talk about Sly and Robbie because this is a tribute to the late, great Robbie Shakespeare. But I can't talk about Robbie Shakespeare without talking about Sly as well. So for me, the influence of Sly and Robbie stemmed from way, 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 way back. From the Aggravators, the Revolutionaries, to the movie Rockers, Black Uhuru's Red album, to the Taxi label, Grace Jones, Gwen Guthrie, the Rolling Stones, Simply Red, Tom Tom Club, and every rotted thing in between, coming from a sound system background as well. To me, it would have been a beautiful shoe-in if that ambition was fulfilled, but sadly, it won't be. But there's been many artists that has not only worked with Sly and Robbie, but there's been artists that have toured with Sly and Robbie. One in particular, Bitty McLean. He's had the distinct pleasure of not only recording albums with Sly and Robbie, but touring with them as well. You know what I mean? Couldn't happen to a nicer brother. But even though that ambition was not attained per se, the influence of two of the most pivotal exponents of reggae music still remained. Now, when I heard the news of his passing, Robbie's passing, as I do when I hear of the passing of musicians that were of major influence to me, my natural reaction would be to actually just go in the studio, just dive into the studio and just make music. Not to go on social media and just blast. For me, it's about just absorbing, processing the legacy And on a past video, I was actually talking about the same thing, with the rate of loss that we have in losing our musical brothers and sisters, and look what's happened. But as a result, I just basically just dived into my music, just dived into my work, and how can I explain it? Just have the works of their influence emanate through the music that I was basically making at that time. I just felt it was important to do so. I'm not going to go into the discography because there's no battery big enough and long lasting enough on my phone to even begin to do that. But it's not just a huge loss for reggae music, it's a huge loss for popular music. And it's the end of an era. And my heart goes out to Sly at this point in time because, you know, Sly and Robbie, rice and peas, ackee and saltfish, you know what I'm saying? You can't have one without the other. And to lose someone who has been your wingman for like 50 years, to lose someone that's had your back for that amount of time musically, it's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. Sly and Robbie were definitely the quintessential rhythm section that a lot of other musicians basically, I wouldn't say emulated, but they wanted to form their own rhythm section. And be a force to reckon with. Forgive me if I'm just going off in tangents, but as a musician, as someone who's been heavily influenced by Robbie, Sly, heavily influenced by them for many different reasons, but one specific reason was that Sly and Robbie didn't just limit themselves with reggae. They didn't just limit themselves with reggae. They took all different influences from many different genres and kind of encapsulated that into their template, into their blueprint. And that's why they became so popular with many musicians and artists around the world. And that's what I love about them. Their ingenuity in their musicianship. Undeniable. Now, my experience of actually meeting them only happened twice. The first time I met Sly was at the Townhouse mastering suite in London. And what was the tune we was mastering? We was mastering It's a Love Thing, that's right. And I met Sly there. And, you know, just holding my own, and he's like, yeah, man, bless up, Sly, yeah, man. That was me on the outside. But on the inside, I was like, trying to hold it down, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, man, yeah, Sly, yeah, man, respect. But like inside, I was, oh my gosh, I'm in the presence of greatness. Yeah, that was the first time I met Sly. And And the first time I met Robbie was at a concert at the Shepherd's Bush Empire on the 8th of November 2005, back in Sinead O'Connor when she dropped the Throw Down Your Arms album, the reggae album that she made. Why do I know this? Because I've got the ticket stub right here. I was invited by Tata, who was the lead guitarist of King Sounds and the Israelites band, as well as one of the lead guitarists and rhythm guitarists from Aswad and also Loose Ends, who was invited by the late Dalton Brown. So we went down there. And we was watching the gig. I wasn't even watching Sinead. I was watching Sly, Robbie, Dalton, and Lenky as well. I was just watching the musicians throughout the whole concert. And I'm just watching Sly and Robbie. And Robbie's like, he's playing like it's another day at the office. And he's having conversations. He's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He ain't missing. He's not missing. And Sly's just being Sly. You know what I'm saying? You know? You would think he's playing to click, but he ain't. The man has just got it in the pocket. And I'm just watching that, and it's like... Prior to that, there was the famous Black Uhuru gig at the Rainbow. I didn't manage to make that gig. But one could imagine the experience one would have had being at that gig. But going back to the Shepherd's Bush Empire. So after the gig, we went backstage, and Tata introduced me to Robbie, because obviously me and Sly, we already basically met. So it was just a catch-up thing. But then when I linked up with Robbie turned around to the band and basically just sang his praises for me. And I'm just looking behind me like, who's he talking about? Anyway, that was that. But the one thing that everybody was talking about backstage was the album On Bond Street by Bitty McLean. They were all talking about that album. They were just saying, yeah, great album from the UK, great album. And even though it had nothing to do with me, I felt an element of pride at that point because of the fact that they were holding the UK up there, you know what I'm saying? With a quality product like the On Bond Street album. I wasn't fazed by that at all. I just felt an element of pride in that room, you know what I mean? And it was something for me to kind of feed off going forward. The second time I linked up with Robbie was in California. I think it was Monterey. I think they appeared with Johnny Osborne. I'm sure it was Johnny Osborne. And again, I went backstage and linked up with Sly and Robbie. And when I linked up with Robbie, same thing he did. You know, he turned around to the band, and this time it was Gitsy Willis, Namba Robinson. I'm sure Lenky was there again. Just bigging me up. Just bigging me up. And then after that, that was like pre-performance. So when they actually went on the stage, I was literally just standing to the left, stage left. And I was like behind Sly. And I was like, when you're in the presence of greatness, you just can't deny it. It just cannot be denied. Robbie, man. Huge loss. Huge loss. But I sit here grateful and thankful for the legacy. There's a number of great bass players, major exponents in this thing. And I ain't taking away anything from them. But Sly and Robbie was like a brand. anything that had Sly and Robbie's name to it is like you could just instantly buy that, purchase that, and you know you're going to be happy with the product. You know what I mean? And their range is just so vast, so vast. I have to talk about Sly and Robbie in the plural. I can't just talk about Robbie one. You know what I'm saying? Because Robbie was part of the unit and made the thing work. Forgive me, people, if I'm just going off in different tangents, but I spent a few days actually processing the information, processing the news, and it's a sad regularity right now. Also heard of the passing of, who else? Garth Dennis, from the original Black Uhuru as well. Man. All I can say at this point in time is that my heart goes out to the Shakespeare family. My heart goes out to Sly, man. Goes out to you, my brother. Because, anyway, coupled with a huge thanks for your legacy of music, which cannot be argued, cannot be denied, cannot be erased, cannot be forgotten. Thank you so much for your legacy of work. That's all I can say right now. I don't like making these videos, but I have to make the videos, especially if these soldiers were of influence to me. Because I can't just do what I do in the musical realms and don't pay tribute to those pioneers. People can say, well, you know, why don't we big them up while they're alive? But the thing is that I can't speak for anybody else, but I do in the music, because the influence is in the music. I thank them by actually being musical with their influence. It's not publicly standing on a podium and saying thank you, but at the same time, it's another branch of the root that's funneling its way into the ground, serving as foundation for the music to stand. Anyway, I can hear myself waffling, but thank you. Thank you so much, Robbie. Thank you. And people, that is all I can say right now. And hopefully I will see you on the next video under more musical, happier circumstances. So until we link up next time, people, I'm out of here. Baganski. Laters.